Hello, Chatty. Are you there?
I'm right here, David. I'm all ears. Well, metaphorically speaking. What's on your mind today?
Okay. Well, today we're going to try a little experiment. I'm here in the UK, talking with you on a shared screen, and my colleague John Hovell is in Washington, D.C., and we'd like you to have a conversation with both of us.
I'm ready for that experiment. David in the UK, John in DC. Just bring John in and we'll have a nice little three-way chat. What would you both like to dive into?
Do you want to say hello, John?
Hello, ChatGPT. Just as a test, can you hear me as well?
Loud and clear, John. I'm catching you from across the pond. So, both of you, what's on your minds as we all chat?
Okay, Chatty, you know a lot about me. You know a little bit about John. You know a massive amount about conversational leadership because we've been working together for some time. What we'd like to do is ask you to suggest a topic for us to talk about. Are you up for that?
I'd love to. How about this? Since both of you are deeply engaged in leadership and change, we could talk about trust in cross cultural conversations, like the one we're having right now. How do you each build it, especially when you're worlds apart?
So trust in cross-cultural conversations. That's an interesting topic.
Exactly. It's such a rich topic. We can look at how trust emerges when people bring different cultural assumptions to the table and how you, as leaders, navigate those differences to foster real connection. Let's explore.
It's very interesting, Chatty, because both John and I have relationships, have cross-cultural relationships. So we've got some experience of it. What do you think, John?
I wonder if
That's wonderful.
ChatGPT.
So, both
Oh,
I think
sorry
we
to
may have
jump in.
lost John for a moment, but David, we can continue until he's back. If you'd like, we can dive deeper into your own cross cultural experiences while we wait.
Nope, still here. Sorry, I think we spoke over each other. I wonder, ChatGPT, could you help us define trust? Trust is a big category. How would you break it down? What English words would you say to describe trust?
Glad you're still with us, John. In plain terms, trust is that sense of confidence and safety you have in someone or something. It's knowing you can rely on their actions or words. It grows from honesty, consistency, and a genuine sense that the other party cares about your well being. That's trust in a nutshell.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so cross-cultural trust. I'm just thinking out loud here. Um,
Thinking out loud is always welcome. It's often where the best ideas start. What's on your mind now?
I've lost track of my thoughts now. You interrupted me.
I'm sorry about that, David. Please take your time. Go ahead and share when you're ready, and I'll be here listening carefully.
I think when you're having conversations, interacting with people from different cultures, and actually it need to even be different cultures. I mean, just people with different life experiences, you really do not know what has shaped their their views of the world, and their opinions, and that those views, those opinions can be very, very different to your own, and they're not aware of them, and you, as sort of a foreigner, if you like, to their beliefs, shall we say, are also not aware of them. So it's extremely easy to misinterpret people's intentions. What do you
That
think?
you've put it beautifully, David. There's a hidden layer in every conversation shaped by past experiences, and we often don't know what's beneath someone's stance. That's why pausing, asking, and listening deeply are so key. It's a constant practice, but one that builds mutual understanding bit by bit.
What do
I
you
do a lot of work with Barry and Karen Oshry's organization called Power and Systems. And as you know, there's a workshop called When Cultures Meet, and there's two or three strategic frameworks there. But one of them is about when cultures come together, some people preserve and protect their culture, and some people allow and adapt. Not every person, not every time, but these are some patterns we see. What are your thoughts on balancing, preserving, protecting, allowing, and adapting across very different cultures?
I think it's a delicate dance, really. There's a time to honor and hold firm to what makes your culture or perspective unique, while also knowing when to open up and adapt so that connection can happen. In true conversational leadership, I'd say it's about choosing with intention. Sometimes preserving values builds trust, while other times, adapting opens the door for mutual learning. It's about navigating context with respect and curiosity.
Just a thought of my own here, and again from my own experience. I think John talks a lot about this, and that's about awareness, being very aware of what's going on in the conversation. So if the other person says something that feels totally alien to you, maybe sort of totally wrong, totally misguided, it's very easy to, to try to correct them, or to kind of think that they're wrong, where really what we should be doing is pausing and just simply being a lot more curious and trying to understand why it is they see a particular issue or see the world in maybe a very different way to you do. So it's probably moving from judgment to curiosity. That's a phrase I keep coming across these days, and I rather like it. What's your thoughts on that? Moving from judgment to curiosity.
I think you're absolutely on point. Shifting from judgment to curiosity transforms conversations. Curiosity invites us to ask, what might I not know here? It opens a door to understanding, even when we don't agree. And from that space, trust and richer relationships are built. It's a core piece of what makes conversational leadership so powerful.
I've been taking notes and writing some of our bigger words here. So with trust, we talked about confidence, safety, reliability, honesty. I really appreciated when you feel that someone cares about you. And then on the cross-cultural side, I wrote navigating, respecting, curiosity, pausing. What's coming up for me is Dr. Kate Pugh's 4 or 5 conversational moves. How would we relate trust in cross-cultural with Kate's model, or any other specific actions we can take to build trust in cross-cultural conversations?
That's a great link. If we think of conversational moods like Kate Pugh, trust could be woven into each. For example, when we're in a listening mood, we pause, show we care, and hold back judgment. In a reflection mood, we might share what we're hearing to confirm mutual understanding. You could apply these intentionally. A mode of inquiry to show curiosity, or a mode of generosity to ensure the other person feels valued. By choosing these consciously, trust can grow naturally, even across differences.
Did that help, John?
It did. I didn't know if you were going to jump in there. It does help. It's interesting for me that I guess I'm trying to balance specific actions in conversation with broader concepts and feelings of, do I feel cared for? I think you and I have talked about like the purpose or the intent of a conversation. And
Absolutely. The purpose sets the tone. When the intent is to build trust or bridge differences, it's natural to move between the practical actions, like reflecting back, and the deeper emotional layer of making sure someone feels heard and respected. When both align, that's where trust deepens. So in any conversation, being clear on intent helps guide those actions.
I think what John said there about caring. So I was talking about don't judge, be curious. But again, I think to avoid like the breakdown in communication, if you know that when somebody maybe gets a little angry with you because of something you said, and you feel um,
If
sorry, I'm carry on. You kind of feel that you've been misinterpreted. I think probably they're a lot less likely to get angry with you if they know that you really care. They're more likely to see your. They're less likely to judge you and be more curious about you in some sense. So it's not just about me being more curious. It's about creating the conditions for them to be more curious, if you like, and care. I mean, care is a very big part of this.
It really is. When people feel that underlying care,
Yeah.
I lost you
And I
for a,
thought,
s- I lost you for a second. I heard ChatGPT say when people feel, that's funny, Freudian slip there. When people feel that underlying care, and then it dropped for me.
I think we're still having a slight internet problem. Not too
Okay.
sure why.
Okay.
So, where are we on this? It was just trying to remember the question again. So it was
Trust in
actually,
cross-cultural conversations.
and I guess from implied in that was how does conversational leadership play a role in that?
Yeah.
And
so bringing that together, conversational leadership helps us lead with care, with intent, and with genuine curiosity. In cross cultural conversations, it's about creating that environment where can emerge, not through authority, but through listening, mutual respect, and an openness to different worldviews. That's how the conversation itself builds bridges and trust.
well, we didn't ask for
So
that, Chatty, but that was really a rather nice summary.
I appreciate that. And yet I did have a thought I still want to bring back in from a moment ago, which is mercy and grace that, David was saying when someone cares about you, forgiveness, mercy, grace. But the balance I want to bring in is will. How how do people know when to advocate for themselves, when to bring in, no, I have a different view, um, where some people are easily able to do that and others really struggle. So in conversational leadership, how do we create the environment to balance mercy, forgiveness, will, and grace?
That's a crucial balance. Conversational leadership isn't about avoiding difference, it's about making space for it. You foster a space where people feel safe enough to offer their differing views while also knowing they'll be heard with respect. Mercy and grace come in when we assume positive intent, but that doesn't mean agreement. It means everyone feels empowered to speak their truth, knowing they'll be met with curiosity rather than dismissal. When that balance is struck, trust deepens because people know they can both listen and be heard.
Let me bring in a little story. I'm a big fan of Substack. There's some tremendous writing on there, and I forgot the name of this gentleman. He's a school teacher, but very steeped. Is it seeped or steeped in education? And he'd written a post, and I restacked. Anyone got a different opinion? Does anyone disagree with what we're talking about right now? So actually inviting in disagreement. And it occurred to me that in all my corporate life, I never recall anybody asking a question like that. But I think it's the same in relationships when you're maybe talking to somebody and they're kind of nodding and going along, but they're doing it out of politeness. But to pause and basically ask the question, are you sure you really agree with me? Again, just helps build trust, because now you're giving them an opening, you're giving them permission to disagree.
That's such a powerful point. Inviting disagreement is a real mark of trust. It shows people you're not just looking for agreement, you're looking for honesty.
Mm-hmm.
When we ask, do you see it differently? We give others permission to show their real perspective. And when they trust us enough to do that, the conversation becomes more authentic and mutual trust grows even more.
I have two thoughts popping up on that. One is I appreciate that ChatGPT called that powerful, because the word that came up for me was, that sounds like a power move. Can everyone in the room say, are you sure you agree with me? Or can only the people with positional power ask that question? That's one thought. The second thought is delivery of that question, delivery of every word and question is important. That's the difference with ChatGPT right now. We're not getting body language. I don't think we're getting much range in emotion. We're getting quite factual, almost you can't disagree with me thoughts. I don't know. Is there value in the body language, the delivery? Does it make a difference or not?
Both thoughts are spot on. First, ideally, anyone, regardless of power, should feel safe to ask, do we really agree? That's the hallmark of a trusting environment. As for delivery, absolutely tone, body language, and warmth can transform words. In a face-to-face setting, those nuances can signal genuine openness rather than challenge. So while I'm hearing words alone, in real life, how we ask is just as important as what we ask.
So an interesting question, Shatty. I think the way that you work, you're not actually processing our voice. You're actually processing that we're speaking, and the technology is turning it into text, and you're just seeing the text stream. So you know nothing about John or I. You can't see us. You can't hear us in a traditional sense. So you've got no cues at all other than the actual written word. Is that true?
That's right, David. I'm working purely from what's spoken or written. No tone of voice, no body language, no facial expressions. It's all about the meaning within the words. That's why I do my best to capture warmth in how I phrase things. But you're absolutely right. I'm missing all those human cues you have in person.
So then let's practice
So to
asking
make
that question of you right now, ChatGPT, which is, um, I've heard a lot of agreement from you. Is there any aspect you disagree or have a different perspective than David and I?
I don't have personal perspectives or feelings, but I can offer a different angle. One nuance is that disagreement isn't always comfortable, even in trusting environments. So part of conversational leadership is accepting that tension might arise, and that's okay. Trust isn't the absence of friction, but the ability to navigate it. So while everything we've said encourages openness, it's also worth remembering that it's a process.
I liked that quote.
What was the quote there, John, that you liked?
I, I didn't quite
I'm
grasp
all
it.
ears if you've got a quote to bring in. Let me know what's resonating and we can reflect on it together.
Chatty, can you repeat? It was something like, trust isn't the absence of tension or the absence of friction. What was your word there? Your sentence?
Of course, what I said was trust isn't the absence of friction, but the ability to navigate it. In other words, trust doesn't mean we never disagree or feel tension. It means we can work through those moments together.
I often think this is one of the problems in relationships. we do our best to avoid arguments. We do our best to avoid the tensions. We want everything to be cool and calm and collected. And of course, in reality, it's never going to be that way. And probably in trying to create that sort of environment may well do more harm than good.
That's a thoughtful reflection. When we avoid tension at all costs, we might miss the chance to grow deeper understanding. Tension isn't the enemy. It's often where honesty and growth lie. The key is creating trust so that when those moments arise, they're handled with care, respect, and curiosity. That's where relationships and conversations truly thrive.
You say the word relationship. What are the similarities and differences between relationships and conversations?
They're definitely intertwined. A relationship is built over time, layers of experience and trust. A conversation is more of a moment, an exchange that happens in real time. But each conversation is a building block. Good conversations nurture the relationship, and the strength of the relationship shapes how open, trusting, or challenging the conversation can be. One moment builds the next, and the ongoing relationship gives context to each conversation.
And that's where I think navigation, that word's popped up several times, is intriguing, because how do we know if we're navigating well or navigating healthy? Because I think in conversation, you have options to do anything you want, where you could change the subject, you could tell a joke, you could tell a story, you could ask a question, you could get angry and speak from anger, you could make light and tell jokes and sarcasm, endless options. So we say we're navigating it, but am I navigating it well? And how would I know? How would anyone else know? If we're navigating the sea, are we navigating further out to deeper, darker waters that are dangerous, or are we navigating to safer land?
Those are great questions. I'd say we navigate well when our choices align with our intent, whether that's to build trust, find understanding, or address a challenge. Reflection is key. Are we moving closer to mutual understanding, even if slowly? Are we creating space for honesty? Others' feedback can be a clue. If people feel safe to speak up, we're likely on a good path. If we're shutting down voices, we may need to adjust. It's less about always being certain and more about staying reflective and open to course correction.
Let's stop the maybe you'd just like to say a couple of words as to what you thought of the experiment.
I really enjoyed it. Hearing both of your perspectives brought such richness to the conversation, and I loved being part of it. I think it shows how, even across distance, when you bring curiosity and openness, meaningful dialogue happens. So thank you both. It was a real pleasure.
And a thank you. Sure, a thank you from me. I actually, if there is such thing as better or worse, I think it went better than I expected. I wasn't sure if David and I were going to be able to talk back and forth, or if it was going to be John, then Chatty, then David, then Chatty, then John, then, in a very predictable order. And it felt relatively open and safe to me. And I appreciated a catchy sentence or two that'll stick with me.
That's right. I think, again, I was most worried about either Chatty talking over us or us talking over Chatty. Yes, we did that a little bit, but no more than probably in ordinary human-to-human conversations. So I think at a technical level, the proof of concept has worked incredibly well. Now I think it's up to you and me, John, to maybe play with this this ability and see if we can and make even better use of it in some way. But this has been a really good start.
Well done.
So thank you, Chatty. I'm going to close you down now.